Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with our latest gameplay and exhibition video to show you. In this series, we highlight a random deck on MTG Arena, and it can range from a spicy homebrew to a tier 1 meta deck that's hot on ranked. And if you do like these videos and anything I do, all I ask for you is to give a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you can enjoy everything from my gameplay, deck techs, booster pack openings, and so much more. If you do like the deck, I will leave a link in the details below so you can give it a spin on Arena for yourself. Keep in mind that these videos will be pure gameplay, no commentary style, so you can enjoy the game, and if you want to, you can see my final thoughts on this deck at the end of the match. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And there you have it, everybody. That is our Soldier Tribal deck for you. So thanks to Dominaria United, we're actually going to start looking at a couple more tribal decks out there because we got quite a few sweet lords. But to start, thanks to the new card from Dominaria, which is Valiant Veteran, we can now support soldiers in this format. But you kind of saw from the video footage, it still needs a ways to go. And the reason for that is you'll notice that besides our Valiant Veteran, we have a couple other soldiers, but they're not all going to be humans. And the reason why I say that is you'll notice that some of our other types of lords, such as General Kudro, gives humans +1/+1, not soldiers. Which is also weird because Valiant Veteran is also not a human, it's a core soldier. King Darien is also an alternative we have, which just gives us the blanket all creatures we control get +1/+1. And this is again where it gets a little tricky because we have to rely on these a lot, and unfortunately they're legendaries. So hitting, say, our collected company with these, and say if we get 2 copies of, say, General Kudro or the King, it doesn't really help us out. So we sometimes want to make sure we're picking carefully what our collected company is going to hit. Other cards that help us kind of bolster out, same thing. Tauren, Fist of the Angel. It's again a great card, but it's not a soldier. You're going to be a little clunky when trying to get all your lords out. Kind of to help us out along with that game plan, we also will have Athalia's Lieutenant, but the same problem persists. It won't hit Valiant Veteran because it only cares about humans. So just be mindful of that. Having said that though, you kind of saw the deck can go off when it is curving out just right. However, you really can't afford to make this budget. I tried to cheat a little bit on lands when we started trying to use things like unclaimed territory, and if you see from this quick little clip, don't cheat on lands. You really need to go non-budget with this. I tried because now you kind of will have moments where you awkwardly can't hit your green mana, which for collected company, it can be critical against tempo plays versus control decks. So fair warning on that, don't follow my lead on that. I tried and I failed. So with that, going back to that, again, that land base is going to be pricey because we are 3 colors and you want to make sure you hit your green mana. You want to make sure you hit your black mana to get your cards like General Enforcer. You want to make sure you can get King Darien. You want to make sure you can Coco right when you absolutely need to. Otherwise, aside from that, most of the other cards you just kind of want to curve out using either Boros Elite. 3-Bit Inspector gives us that card draw with the Clue token. In the 2-drop slot, this is where it gets also a little clunky. It really depends, however, on what your opponent is dealing with. So for example, if you have to deal with control decks out there, get Thalia out. If you do need a little bit of protection versus Spot Rule and Wraths, use Resolute Reinforcements and wait until the end of your opponent's turn. Again, if you do need a bigger board state, Thalia's Lieutenant, Valiant Veteran are going to be what you need. The other bonus that we know from Valiant Veteran is we can exile it from our graveyard to put a +1/+1 counter on each of our soldiers if it's already in the graveyard and we have 5 mana open. The other thing that's kind of sweet about this deck also is we don't worry too much about graveyard hate because it's already built into the main deck with cards such as General Enforcer and General Kudro. So just keep that in mind as well. And also a little spot removal in Brutal Cathar. If we can kind of make it day and night, slowly but surely you can start picking off more and more creatures. I wouldn't rely too much on that. We're hoping to hit this with the collected company at the right moment. And a little bit of extra spice for me, Bereaved Survivor flipping into Dauntless Avenger. Again, at the start, it's a human peasant. However, losing one of our creatures flips it, and then we can start bringing back some of our lower end creatures such as our veterans, such as our Thalias. And then hopefully we can use them to tap it and attack. But again, it's also tricky to use because this card is also not exactly a strong card to begin with, so just keep that in mind as well. Since we've already talked mostly about the land base, the only other thing I would just say with this is remember that with your Castle Ardenvales, it will make humans, which again will get pumped from some of our lords except for the veteran because it just makes plain humans. So keep that also in mind if you want to build this. As far as your actual sideboard, not much really to say. It's just sideboard in whichever you feel you're weak to. Deafening Silence versus control decks. Same with Thoughtseize. If you want to worry about Wraths, bring in your Heroic Interventions. Authority of the Consuls is against aggro decks, so that way we can slow them down, gain some life back. A light touch in Fatal Pushes. A couple Soul Guide Landers for additional quicker graveyard hate, and a couple of Cathar Commandos that we can bring in that also we can sack to destroy artifacts and enchantments. But basically that's going to be the deck for you. You already saw. I really want to hope that maybe if we tweak this a little bit more, it could be better, but as it currently is,
Soldiers still needs a lot of work. It's not like, say, Merfolk or even Goblins, where they already have everything they can possibly use and they're very efficient at what they're trying to do. But otherwise, you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? It's still fun, it's enjoyable when it goes off. Don't be surprised again if it's a little clunky, but with a couple more tweaks, I think this deck actually has what it takes. It just needs a little bit more love. But if you want to give this deck a try in the current state it's in, go ahead, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed.
That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later!